Hello and welcome to my presentation on problem-based learning by Rachel Hart. Today we'll talk a little bit about problem-based learning, where it came from, what it entails, and how it helps students. Problem-based learning was formed back in 1960 by two professors at McMaster University, Burroughs and Tamlin. They actually wanted to come up with a better way to help with critical thinking skills. It has evolved just a little bit, but primarily stayed fairly similar. Aalborg University based all their programs on the problem-based learning style back in 1974, and that's really when it kind of took off. And problem-based learning is still utilized today. I think we've been doing a little bit of problem-based learning in this class as well. So what is problem-based learning? Problem-based learning is a learning style that's very student-centered. It requires a group of students to solve what people would consider real-world problems. Part of what is so great about problem-based learning is it teaches teamwork, it teaches collaboration, it makes people communicate, groups of people communicate with each other, and really start to think about a problem and use those critical thinking skills, talk problems out, and helps create more problem-solving skills and kind of flex those muscles that maybe people might not necessarily be doing in a classroom setting all the time. So just like there's students in problem-based learning, we also have facilitators. So the role of the facilitator isn't necessarily to stand up at the front and sit there and teach and talk. It is more of a guide. They present the problem, and it has to be a problem that's relevant, something that's interesting and very compelling, kind of upfront, right? And then this person will give that problem out to the students and say, go, right? Here's the problem, you guys solve it. They act as a guide to help kind of redirect as needed if things go kind of off the cuff or off in a different direction, and helps ensure that the groups have resources and information there to answer questions and provide feedback as required if needed. The role of the student is the most important, in my opinion, in problem-based learning, because the student is the one actually doing the learning, but I don't even think they realize that they are learning with problem-based learning. It's more, here's a problem, solve it, right? So the student needs to analyze and then with the group solve that problem, right? They have to work together with the group or the team that they've been assigned. It helps to create some really nice, healthy discussion, but as a facilitator, you have to make sure that it doesn't turn into arguments. So the role of the student also is to kind of keep that mindset of this is a discussion, not an argument, and use their critical thinking skills to really be able to sit there and talk about the different aspects of the problem and really do some reflective thinking. Listen to other people's opinions, ideas, brainstorms, etc., which isn't always the case when you're trying to work or collaborate with other teams in the workplace. Students do present their solutions at the completion of the time or the course or the assignment, whatever the case may be. So problem-based learning, according to Kurt, really has 8 essential elements. And so I just wanted to chat a little bit about those. It's very important that problem-based learning be considered controlled, because you don't want it spinning off into other different things. So the facilitator needs to establish those learning outcomes. Very specifically, here's the problem, here's what we're going to try to get out of this, and have a really good problem and really good curriculum content and resources available for the students to be able to solve the problems. It has to be a really compelling reason, a real world problem with a driving need to solve. It has to, allow freedom of opinion and choice. And problem-based learning pushes students to use critical thinking and use their own voice and in-depth inquiry. Students learn through a lot of self-reflection and revision, and go back and forth and discussion. So it really kind of helps get the creative juices flowing, and then audience presented product at the end, where those students present the solutions to a group for discussion. So when you want to use problem-based learning, you don't want to always use it every single time, but you want to use it when students need to really learn and flex those teamwork and critical thinking skills, it's definitely ideal for workplace problem solving. Thank you so much for joining me on my presentation. Hope you have a lovely afternoon.